All right, if there's 1 o'clock, then we're going to get started. Oh, hey, that was good. I like that. All right. So, welcome. We still have people coming in, so we're going to give them a couple minutes to get in and seated and everything. What a great turnout. Thank you all for coming out today. Appreciate your support. So, okay. Is this on?
Jackie, I didn't do that. Jackie said it on. Did we switch on?
All right.
There you go. Switch the switch.
Okay.
I think you got to get it closer. Yeah, you're gonna have to. Hold it
I know. Thanks. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'm glad you're here. It's a beautiful day, and I think the microphone is sort of working, so that's good. They tell me I have to eat the microphone in order to make it work. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. So, thank you for coming out on a beautiful day. I know you'd rather be out there hiking the trail or walking the beach today, but we're trying not to keep you too long today. But your activity, your support for the Sleep Bear Dunes National Lakeshore is critical to the mission of the park. So I'm really glad that you came out to support us and to be part of the volunteer crew. So my name is Kerry Kelly. I think I know most of you. I'm the chairman of the board for the Friends of Sleep Bear Dunes. And the Friends of Sleep Bear Dunes is a nonprofit organization that supports the park with volunteers and donations. And sometimes we do a grant directly to the park for materials or equipment, and sometimes we buy it and then donate it to the park. You know, the biggest project that we had last year was to build a garage on the Dune Center up at the Dune Climb. And if you're ever up at the Dune Climb, walk over there and check it out. It's really beautiful. It's 1,600 square feet, and it has 3 bays. One for the Sleep Bear Heritage Trail equipment, the gator, the mower, the blower, all of our hand tools and everything. And the other side is for winter storage for the track chairs and also for the mobile visitor center. And this year, during the summer, the law enforcement UTV is going to be located there too, so it'll be real handy for doing rescues on the dune. So that's what we did. And you've seen our booklets back here. Those are available at the visitor center, at the Dune Center, at the canning company up in Grand Haven, and also like the cottage bookshop. So there's another room that we built on to the Dune Center that is the storage for all those books. There's about $10,000 worth of books in there waiting to be sold through the summer. So I want to cover a couple of things with you generally, just to give you an update on some things going on in the park. May 23rd, that's next week, Thursday next week is when Glen Haven museums and blacksmith shop are going to be opening up. Okay, May 23rd. The scenic drive is open now, so you can get up there and check out the scenic drive. May 30th, across the street here at the library, we're going to have Jane Elder. She's an author. She's worked 40 years on different environmental organizations, and she's going to be talking about the health of the Great Lakes. and talking about her book. How do we protect the Great Lakes? So that's at 7 o'clock on May 30th. June 1st, National Trails Day. So Tracy's going to talk a little bit later, but National Trails Day, we're going to be out at Glen Haven and stop by, hike a trail. One of the things that we want to do is, there's about 100 miles of trail on the mainland, and the Roads and Trails group needs to know where there are down trees, where there are erosion issues, and that sort of thing. So this June 1st is an opportunity to get a bunch of people out and mark down where there are issues on the trail so that we can give that to our Roads and Trails group to go out and get them cleared up. June 17th is Plover Day. So June 17th is just for Friends of Sinclair News members, volunteers, to go out and probably, we don't have the details yet. Okay, very good. So I just got a detail. It's going to be at the Platte River, and we're going to be able, they'll have a biologist or two out there with the scope to be able to actually see probably the parents and maybe some chicks by June 17th. So more information on that will be coming out. At 2 o'clock, we're going to split into smaller groups. And so those of you who are Sinclair Heritage Trail ambassadors, just raise your hand if you're an ambassador. Okay, very good. All right. So Mary Peterson is our coordinator for Adopt Beach and Heritage Trail. You guys know what these are?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. These are gotcha cards. And we've partnered with Charity Republic, and we've done this for several years now. Our ambassadors wearing the stylish vest and your helmet, right? Out on the trail, you see a family, or especially if you see kids doing everything right. They're wearing a helmet, they're riding on the right side of the trail, they're stopping at stop signs, they're doing everything right. You can stop them and give them a coupon for a free ice cream at Charity Republic. Yeah, that's our gotcha. So we have those already. Usually we don't have them right at the beginning of the season, but we got them. So when we do the breakouts, pick up your cards. Mary's got them. I think, don't you? Okay, she's got it. Okay, one other thing couple of things I wanted to mention that are new this year for the Friends. Most of you are probably familiar with our track share program, right? We have 3 track shares, 1 at Platte River Campground, 2 up at the Kelder House Farm that we take out on the Bayview Trail, the farm loop. We're going to expand the track, and then this is a wheelchair with tracks on it. So it doesn't have wheels; it's got tracks like a little bulldozer, and you can take it up, along the trail. We always have a volunteer go with you in case there's any issues with the chair, which we don't have any issues, but we never know. If we didn't have a volunteer, what would happen? Right? You have an issue. So we're getting a wheelchair bike. And this is, again, for people that are in the wheelchair or otherwise, or break their ankle, or otherwise, mobility impaired, where you can actually sit on the bike and we'll take you for a ride down the Heritage Trail. So Lori back here in the accessibility group has a picture of it. So if you're interested, you can check it out at the end or when we do the break. We do need volunteers to help with the new bicycle program, and it doesn't hurt to have more volunteers with the track share program. So if you're interested in that, see Lori at the break. we're all, so that chair bicycle is not in yet. We're supposed to have it probably in the next week or two. And then we have to do some work on exactly what is the program and how are we going to implement the overall program. Also, we have a program of doing a couple of things relative to dark sky. And we have our star parties that we have in the evenings. And one of the things that we are trying to do is reduce the amount of ambient light in the park. So we're going to do a survey of the lighting fixtures in the park and recommend changes to, to lighting fixtures where it needs to be done. We're also doing light level monitoring at night. So in different places in the park. And okay, so I saw Suzanne in here earlier. There she is in the back. So Suzanne is kind of one of the ones that's leading our dark sky program. And we need volunteers for doing the light meter. Yeah, okay, so that's cool. And in the park, there are a couple of things that you'll notice in the park. One is that the Park Service is resurfacing all of our asphalt. So starting at Platte River Campground, they're working down there now, and then they're working their way north. So all the asphalt in the parks, campgrounds, the like Loon Lake parking lot area, everything that's got asphalt is being redone this year. So there will be some closures. When they get to the dune climb, they're going to keep the dune climb open. So that half of the parking lot will be closed and the other half will be open. So just so you know that that's coming. Also at the dune climb, they're supposed to be putting in a turn lane for people coming north. There will be a turn lane, so there'll be some construction up there probably in early July. So just so you know, once that starts, you may want to reroute yourself to a different, not going up through the construction. Okay, so that, oh, and one other thing is that if you've gotten the emails from me in the past few weeks, you know that the Friends of Sleeping Bear Dunes has grown. This is our 30th year, by the way. And we've grown from a few people sitting around the table, the dinner table, and kind of a budget of $20,000 to $30,000. To now we have about 1,000 or maybe more members, that's donors and volunteers. And our budget last year was around $300,000. So our ability to support the park has grown immensely over the course of the last 30 years. But it's gotten to the point that it's impossible to continue growth with all volunteers. So we're actively searching for a new executive director to be our first executive director and take over some of the duties that have been on the plate of the chairman. So just, if you know anybody, let me know, right? So that's coming. Now, couple of other things I want to, I'm done. Kathy, you're gonna talk about.
I had your friends form.
Okay.
Okay.
You're working on it.
All right. Thank you.
So these forms that we hand out are a list of all the various volunteer opportunities. And, you know, a lot of times you're doing about the beach and you don't know that there's other things that you might be interested in doing. So if you are interested in adding to your portfolio, you can check as you leave here, okay? And just jot your name down and then we'll make sure that you get on the mailing list. So with that introduction, I'm going to introduce Matt Moorman. Matt is the volunteer coordinator for the park and our partner with the Friends. Thanks, Jerry. So, Gotta eat it.
Yeah, you do. This is gonna be really hard to stand in one place. It, and yeah, but I can't, then it will.
Yeah.
I've got- Yeah, you gotta stay here. Good luck. Scott Tucker, the Park Superintendent, couldn't make it today. His kids are at that age where they play soccer all over the state, and that's where he is. I don't even know where, downstate somewhere, but he wanted me to make sure and thank you for coming on, welcome you to the park, and, send his welcome to you. How many brand new volunteers that have never volunteered for the park before do we have? All right. Almost half of you guys, and then the rest of you guys, welcome back. Right? Like the Plovers coming back, here come our volunteers. Awesome. So I'm going to give you just kind of a quick overview of the park and volunteer mission, and then what your role is in that, and how you help the park, and then how we can help you. And then we're going to send it off to other folks to talk about safety and spirit of action. So we have this park. The park is one of 429. Maybe. Thank you, Casey. It changes pretty quickly. There's new parks all the time. So 429 parks there are, and that's a little bit of a misnomer. And then a lot of you guys have heard this before, but you get to hear it again. And I just did this whole spiel for our scouts this morning that we were pulling garlic monsters with. So here we go. It's awesome. We'll see if you're better, smarter than fourth grade Cub Scouts. So 429 parks, 7 in Michigan. Mar Dunes, but of course, parks is a misnomer a little bit, right? Because they're not all national parks, where it's Mar Dunes National.
Lakeshore.
Thank you. So there are like 26 or some designations of park service units, right? So there's maybe 50 or 60 actual national parks, Royal being one of them, right? But there's all kinds of other units out there, like lake shores and seashores, rivers, recreation areas, monuments, etc. And they're all under the National Park Service umbrella. So if you hear Lake Mar Dunes National Lakeshore, just think in your head National Park, because that's we all wear the zero head, green and gray. You look on your vest, the vest that you're going to get, or your hat, there's an arrowhead on it, right? So we're all part of that same team that manages these parks. And who owns all these parks? Who owns all 429? Hey, you guys are smarter than 4. You would be surprised how long it takes them to get to that. Yeah, right? Yeah, they don't pay taxes. Yeah, exactly. That's probably why, right? Yeah, I mean, they're like the president, the state, the government, they don't, and then finally it gets around to who are those people? Who's that? It's you guys, of course. Yes, you own them all. You're the proud owners of 429 national parks. And not only do you get to visit them and go see them, you're going to actually come out and volunteer and help with the mission of the national parks, which is awesome. You can't do it without, what is the mission? What's our mission? Anybody have any ideas? Preserve, right? Preserve everything here. Congress made a box around some stuff in this area and said, this stuff's worth protecting. Right, we're going to keep this here for all time. And there's all kinds of good reasons for that. I mean, the dunes and the glacial features and the wildlife and the people stories. Every park has its own reason. But at some point, Congress said, this spot we're going to keep for all time because there's stuff worth protecting there. Right. So that is what we're here for, is to protect and preserve everything in this park. And so you guys will help us do that. And part of that is letting visitors experience that, because if you just build a fence around the whole thing, that's probably the very best way to just preserve it, right? But who cares about that? Nobody even care about it because they can't experience it. So it's a balance. You got to let visitors experience it, but you got to preserve and protect it. So 1.6 of our closest million of our closest friends are coming here in the next 3 months, and we want them to experience it, but they need to do it safely, and we need to funnel where the trampled areas are going to be, and help share the rules and regulations with them and educate them about the park, interpret, give them that message of why it's important, whatever kind of Clovers or Bloodhaven or Fort Oneida or whatever it is that you encounter visitor. Feel free to interpret what's the significance of this place, and kind of know that and can tell them that, and they start to care about it. Then you're going to have a person who is an advocate for the park, for this park and all the parks. along with preservation. That's how you help preserve it down the line. So volunteer handbook, right? So there's some paperwork stuff Gary mentioned, 2 forms, one for the Friends, one for the Park Service, which is a volunteer service agreement. Oh, yes. And so again, back to this arrowhead thing. We're talking, I forgot who I was talking to. I think it was Bill on the board, whoever curious. You guys know that Saturday Night Live Steal with More Cowbell, right? Everybody's seen that. No matter how many times I say this, we need to say it more. Everybody, all volunteers are National Park Service volunteers. Okay, there's only one way to volunteer in the park, and that is volunteer for the National Park Service. You are associated with the Friends. Everybody here is a Friends member, they're Friends volunteer, but those are projects coordinated by the Friends for the National Park Service. So you guys are all part of that big 429 unit umbrella National Park Service organization. We're all pulling the same direction on the same rope. So everybody needs to understand that first and foremost, right? So not only do we get that great, like, man, I'm doing something bigger than myself because that's awesome, everybody likes that. There's also some, roles and responsibilities that come with that. Because you're representing the Park Service out there. You wear that and wear this. So volunteer handbook. If you don't have one, make sure to find that. I have the hard copies, they're online, they're on the Friends website. They're out there. I can email you one directly. But that's, I don't know, maybe 20 pages, maybe just a little bit more. But the first half of it is all about really the Park Service and Sleeping Bear Dunes. So you can have that knowledge to interpret a lot of those significant reasons of why we're here, why you guys even here, kind of thing, to visitors. Okay, because most of them don't get it. They just, the dunes, the sleeping, or the Pierce Stocking Scenic Drive, absolutely. Who cares about anything else in the park, like Plovers or Glen Haven or Port Oneida? Well, you can help tell that to them too. And why dogs in this part of the beach aren't allowed, and not just that they weren't. Why? So those 2 forms, the volunteer service agreement for the park does a couple things. While you're actively engaged in volunteering, it protects you under the workers' compensation program. So if you are injured while actively volunteering, you're eligible for that. You don't have to use it, but you can. So it's your choice. And say a tick, Tracy's got to talk about ticks. You get a tick, you go to the doc, and then you get doxycycline. You don't want to use your insurance, and you got it while volunteering. You can use that workers' compensation. And then that goes into accident reporting. So any accident, which amendments are included in that, need to be reported. So I need to do something there.
No, you're fine.
I'm already in trouble about this. So that's one thing the form does, kind of protect you. The other thing is I'll throw it in my database and then I enter hours to your name with that form as you report them through their website. So those hours, like, who cares? I don't want any credit. I don't need any credit. I'm doing something cool and I like it. Well, those hours help the park in a couple ways. One being, we can just, it's the government, we got to track stuff, right? It shows, what the significance is of the volunteer effort to support this park. There's like 130-ish employees here, and there's 1,600 volunteers, right? And you can't do the mission without you guys. So those hours support that, hours and the numbers and all that stuff, keep this program going. But a bigger reason is the budget that comes in, tagged for volunteers. Our interns are any interns here? Yes or no? No. So our interns are funded, which is their housing and a meal stipend for the summer because they're college kids. They can't afford to come here and do this for nothing, which they almost do, but we give them a meal stipend and a house at least. That's funded because even though it's, the house, we got to pay ourselves for the house. It's just how the government works. So at any rate, your hours determine that money that comes designated for volunteers. And I don't know, this year it's $20,000 out of $24,000 that are going to go to the interns for the summer for housing and meal sessions. So that's key to let those kids get in the door. If you look around at the Park Service, most people are my age or, I don't want to put it on. Most people are getting up there, right? They're not college kids. And that's who we need to come in behind us. Because, I'm not going to be here for long. And so probably at least for the next We gotta get them in the door, and then we have an awesome history of hiring or getting hired somewhere else, our interns, if they wanna work for the park, every last one of them, either here or somewhere else. So your hours support that program. So report them, even though you feel like, I don't really need it. Okay, well, you do. It helps us. And then at the end of the year, if you hit 50 for the season, you get Dune bucks, which are kind of cool. You get 15 Dune dollars. You can spend them in the bookstore. So that's kind of cool too. So that's what that form does basically for us. Thank you. Yeah, VFB handbook we hit. Yeah, so annual pass. That's the other thing. You don't have to pay to volunteer in the park, right? You don't have to go buy a pass. A lot of you guys probably already have one or senior pass. But you can, not that you'd be eligible now. If you already have a pass, that's great. If you need a pass to volunteer, you can pick that up. They're not a pass anymore. It's a sticker for staff and volunteers. And you can take, if you don't want to stick it on your car, you can put it on the hang tag, those plastic things with the pass hangs it off the mirror. You can stick it on that if you want. When you go there to the DC, after today, next week sometime, and after get some paperwork all entered, and your name gets on the list over there, give it a week or so. Stop by the VC Visitor Center, stop by the Visitor Center. Just tell them at the front desk, hey, I'm a volunteer. I'd like to get my annual pass. And yep.
Repeat that message that she's given.
Yeah, so Jerry said, say that again, because you guys can't hear it. Yeah, I got it. So you gotta do the Friends form and the VSA, Volunteer Service Agreement, the park form. Do both of those, get them to either Kathy or Mary, and they'll get you entered on the Friends side. They'll make sure they have all your data, and then they'll forward it to me, so I get it and get you in my database, and en route, the visitor center gets your name, because Kathy sends an email, you say, hey, welcome to Friends. Whoever, Joey Bag of Donuts. And then the visitor center's like, oh, Joey Bag of Donuts is a volunteer, put him on the list. And then you guys go in and say, hey, I'd like my pass. And they're gonna say, great, what's your name? And you tell them you're Joey Bag of Donuts, you get a pass. So they will need though, what do they need? Driver's license and license plate? Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so. Okay. That's the other thing. If you need it, you can grab it there too when you pick up your pass. There you go. Great. Yeah, Kathy. Okay, so then volunteer appreciation night is the last thing I want to talk about. So every summer we do an appreciation night for all our volunteers. Again, we can't run this place without you guys. That's just it wouldn't work. You guys are the eyes and ears. You're out there, you're changing behavior. Visitors see you in these vests, and they actually change for the better what they're doing. The dogs get put on leash, glass bottles get put away, they start picking up their trash, they'll send it over to you on the beach. So wear that stuff proudly. And even if you don't interact with them, you're doing a positive act by changing visitor behavior for good. So do that, and then come to volunteer appreciation night, August 21st. I'll send another email. Probably you'll get 4 more emails from me this summer, everybody. So that's going to be a new venue. We've had it in here. It's kind of stuffy today. That's how it always is in August in here. And the whole program has been a little kind of, we've done the same thing for 15 years. So it's time to do something different. So we're going to have a different venue, different program. So if you guys, the people who didn't raise their hands are brand new volunteers, come back this year if you haven't come in a while, because it's going to be different and cool. So with that, a question.
I think everybody probably knows this. I got maybe that information. If you approach a age and you get that one in the past, they don't require annual pass to get credit for that. You go buy and see the pass.
Yeah, that if it's active that year, I think. Yeah. Yeah, check with the fees folks for sure. I think the active pass can be upgraded though. Yes. Yeah. So good. Any other questions before I take off? Give it over to Andy here. Great. So Andy, Blake is one of our law enforcement rangers. He's the lead ranger in the Leelanau district. He's going to talk to you about the safety and visitor interaction. Blake, thank you.
Oh, he's taking on after Matt, because he does such a good job, so you're gonna have to deal with me. Like Matt said, I'm Andy Blake, I'm the Leelanau District Ranger, so I oversee all, law enforcement and emergency services in the Leelanau District. And we'll get into the districts of the park here in a little bit towards the end of the presentation. It is important to know where you are when you're out volunteering in the park. I'm gonna talk about safety, reporting incidents, and a little bit about visitor contacts and interactions. So first off, when we talk about safety, safety really starts before you even leave your house or come out here to volunteer. So it's good to have a plan and know what you're doing that day. And make sure you have enough stuff with you. You have enough food, water, you have the proper gear, you have the proper personal protective equipment to do whatever you might be doing. I don't know what everybody in this room is going to be doing, but make sure you have a plan for that day. Also, when we talk about safety, the number one thing that we can do is maintain situational awareness. Situational awareness is a term that's thrown around a lot, but it is really important. And all of situational awareness means is that you're aware of what's going on around you at all times. You're aware of what's going on with yourself at all times, and you're able to react to those situations appropriately. So situational awareness can come into play a lot when you're out in the park. I would say one of the biggest things is maintaining going on what's going on with the weather. Because if you're going to go out and hike a beach and it's supposed to have a severe thunderstorm in an hour, maybe you shouldn't go out there. There's a lot of things that we can do to help us maintain our situational awareness. One thing we do in the law enforcement and like kind of emergency services world is we do something that's called Take 5 at 5. So at 5 o'clock every day, we kind of pause what we're doing and we get together and we just talk. It might be by phone, it might be by text message, it might be in person, just to say, hey, what are you seeing? What's going on? Are there any problem areas that we need to focus on? We kind of develop a plan going forward. You can do that amongst your groups that you work in, but you can also just do it yourself. If you're walking out on a beach, if you just set your timer on a phone or a watch, and you have it buzz you every 30 minutes or once an hour. And it just kind of reminds you like, hey, am I maintaining situational awareness? Do I know what's going on? Is there severe weather moving? Or weird people creeping? It just helps you maintain that a little bit. So have a plan and help and do something to maintain your situational awareness. So what's the number one most dangerous thing we're going to do every day? Yeah, drive, be in a vehicle. So I know most people in this room probably aren't driving government vehicles, but you're driving your personal vehicle. Just know that this is a very busy area out here. A lot of pedestrians, a lot of bikes. So allow extra time to get to where you're going so you're not rushing to get there. And just be aware of everything that's going on, especially driving through Glen Arbor. Is probably one of the treacherous things that we do because of all the bicyclists. They don't, a lot of them don't follow the law. They'll run the stop signs and run right out. So just be aware of that. Allow extra time and watch for pedestrians and bikes. Weather would be the other major hazard, I think, that might present every day, is that we do get some pretty good thunderstorms here and there. So it goes back to that situational awareness, is to make sure you're checking the weather forecast and know what's coming that day before you take off on a bike ride on a Heritage Trail or walk a beach or go on a patrol in the dunes if you work at PSAR. Most accidents that happen in this park amongst employees and volunteers, they happen when we're doing things like just walking across a parking lot or something, like something very minor, because we do a really good job at mitigating hazards when we're going into knowing that it's going to be a hazardous situation, whether it's maintenance, moving sand up at number 9, or if we're going on a SAR mission. We do a really good job at looking and mitigating hazards in those situations, but where we don't always do a good job is just on those everyday little tasks. So just keep that in mind. You know, you can twist an ankle in a parking lot. You can
strain your back by lifting something too heavy. Just slow down and know what you're doing, and just be aware that those accidents can happen at any time. The last thing I'll say, and some of the people in this room have heard me say this a lot, but I take it to heart, is like, when we're thinking about safety, don't think about what is might hurt you today. Think about what might hurt you in 3 weeks or a year or 10 years down the line. So, you know, if you're working out in the sun, make sure you're wearing your sunscreen, staying in the shade. Make sure you're staying properly hydrated. If you're walking around in the woods, make sure you're doing those tick checks at night. If you're doing some type of repetitive movement, you know, make sure you're not going to develop some type of, you know, strain or something from doing that repetitive movement. So don't just think about what's going to hurt you today. Think about what could hurt you in the future. Well, that's kind of wrapping up the safety part of it. Does anybody have any questions? All right, I'll move on. So visitor contacts and interactions. First, I'll say that most of you in this room probably have no obligation to ever really contact. Some of you, like in the PSAR program, it's what they do every single day. But there's a few tidbits I want to give you. If you are going to be out in the park and you're going to be doing what we call educational contacts, and what that is if you see someone doing something that they're not allowed to do, like they have a dog in a closed area, and you want to go inform them on the rules, that's what we call an educational contact. But I want to make it clear that most of you guys have no obligation that you have to do. Right, Matt?
Correct, yes, it's your choice to engage or not. You're welcome to this call and record it. You don't have to engage with it.
So first off, with these educational contacts, if you're going to do them, is you make sure that you are properly identified as a volunteer. So you have the vest on, or you have a PSAR shirt on, or you have a full-on volunteer uniform. You want to make sure that people can identify you as a volunteer. And make sure you introduce yourself too. That's like, hi, I'm Joey Bag of Donuts, and I am a volunteer for Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore, and I'd like to talk to you first. So make sure that you're identifiable, because we have had issues in the past where people have done this with visitors, and the visitor has had no idea who they are. And I don't think anybody in this room, we would like just some random stranger walking up to us, telling us, you can't do this here, you need to take it down. So make sure that people can identify you and they know who you are. The number one rule that we have doing these contacts is just be nice. We always want to be nice, even if people aren't being nice back. And I would say if someone's not being nice to you, for you guys, it's time just to walk. But always be nice to people. And our number one goal with these type of contacts are, we want to gain compliance. We want them to change their behavior if they're violating a rule by the least intrusive means that we can. Meaning that if a campground host in DHA campground can tell someone nicely that they need to move their car because they're parked illegally, and the people move their car, that's great. That's what we want. We don't necessarily need law enforcement to get involved. If you are going to do these type of contacts, you're going to be nice. And we just want to state facts. We don't want to bring any personal opinions in. So like, maybe you don't like dogs, period, and you think dogs should be banned. It doesn't matter. We just want to state the facts of what the rules and regulations are. And you definitely need to know that. If you are in a position like the PSAR folks are doing these contacts, you absolutely need to know what the rules and regulations are. We have a cheat sheet that you can get through Matt. You can email me and I can give it to you, that just states kind of all the basic rules and regulations that people commonly violate or might not know. You know, like drones is a good one. You know, you're not allowed to fly drones on federal land. That's something that not everybody. So if you are interested in that, talk to whoever kind of supervises you for the Park Service, or reach out to Matt, reach out to me, and I'll make sure you guys get that. But if you're going to do these type of contacts, make sure you understand what you are asking people. And then, because we have had issues also where people have really messed up the pet issue, like where pets are allowed and where they're not. So if you are dealing with that stuff, make sure you know where pets are allowed and where they're not allowed. I won't lie, I get confused and I need to refresh myself every single year. Dogs allowed on this beach or not? So make sure you know that. And it does change. And then a few, tidbits on how, if you are going to talk to people, one, you're going to be nice to people, don't argue with them, but give them options. So like I use dogs as an example because I think it's like the biggest thing that volunteers talk to people about is if you're going to tell someone that you can't have your dog on this beach, give them an option on where they can take their dog. And then also, I think another good tactic is, but you need to know when to use it, is the us versus them. Like take their side, say, hey, you're not allowed to have your dog here, but you can take it down here to this beach. And I know the law enforcement rangers are out here writing tickets today, and I hate that. I hate to see you get a ticket. So if you use that tactic, it does help a lot. When I was a general ranger 20 years ago, my boss gave me that advice, and I use it all the time. And it always works. The other thing is going back to the situational awareness, when you are going to have these interactions, if you choose to have these interactions with the public, is that use that situational awareness before you walk into a situation. If you're on the beach and you see there's a bunch of highly intoxicated people and they don't look like very friendly people, whatever that might be, maybe you don't want to go talk to those people. You're just going to walk the other way. But if it seems like just a family and they seem like they don't know what they're doing, and you're like, hey, yeah, I think I can talk to these people and make sure they have the proper information, do it. So just use that common sense in that situation when you do choose. And then also, if you do choose to do these and the person's just giving you a bunch of grief and they're like, I'm not going to listen to you, just walk away. There's no reason to sit there and continue to engage. And that's when you'll want to call us. And we'll get into that now. Any questions?
Andy, and what's the status of your therapy dog service?
Yeah, they're allowed. Service dogs.
And would you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question was, what about service dogs and closed? They are allowed. I'm not going to get all into that today, but in our breakout session with PSAR, we will talk more about it, because it is kind of a sensitive issue, and there are certain questions we're allowed to ask and not ask. But I would say generally for volunteers, if someone says this is a service dog, then just let them go. And we can try to follow up. Sorry. PSAR is preventative search and rescue, and all the people in here that have the bright colored t-shirts on, they are part of the preventative search and rescue program. And I encourage you, if you're interested in the program, to come to our breakout session. You'll give you more information. We'll do it right up here. They work mostly at the Dune Farms and at Lake Michigan Harbor. Any other questions?
We do need to call take for. What number do we use?
I'm going to get into that second, so I'll answer your question in 1 second. Any other questions?
I want to touch on the rocks and the edibles that people can do and what they can't do.
On the what?
Picking blueberries.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go into all of that, but the cheat sheet I'm referring to lists all of those rules and regulations.
Dogs. I want to dogs and rocks.
Dogs and rocks.
Those are the two things they.
All right, I'm going to go on to how to report an emergency or an incident. So first of all, I would say if it's a true emergency, call 911 if you have cell phone coverage. I know probably someone in here, multiple people are asking, well, what's a true emergency? I would say what a true emergency is if you were put into the same situation and you weren't volunteering for the park, would you call 911? If the answer is yes, then call 911. If it was something like, if I wasn't volunteering, I wouldn't call 911. It's probably not a true emergency. That makes sense? So if it's a true emergency, call 911. The rangers in this park, the law enforcement rangers, we're part of the 911 system. So when you call 911, they're gonna get everybody coming, not just me, but the fire department, the sheriff's department, if they're needed, everybody that is needed, whatever that might be. Yep.
When you get 911, make sure you tell them.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good point.
Oh.
Is to make sure that you, especially out on the islands, because that could go to Wisconsin. But that leads into what I was going to say. It's good to know where you are. So it goes back to that being prepared, what we first talked about. So the park is 2 different districts, 2 different counties. So the Leelanau district is everything north of Empire, including the Manitou Islands. And the Platte River district is everything south of Empire, including the headquarters area, is the Platte River district. So all of the Leelanau district is in Leelanau County. Most of the Platte River district is in Benzie County, except for the very kind of north part of it. So you need to know, not necessarily the districts, but what county you're in to really help. So just, be aware of that. I don't know where everybody works here, but know if you're working down in Benzie County or if you're working in Leelanau County, because it's going to help if you need to call 911. So if it's not a true emergency, and it's just something that's out there that's like, man, this isn't right, or you tried to tell someone not to have their dog, we're in a closed area and they blew you off and you want to report that. The best way to do that is probably just to find a uniformed Park Service employee and tell them who you are, what you saw, and they can relay that information to us. If you have a Park Service contact person that oversees like Mike Cole oversees the preventive search and rescue program. Those people know they can get a hold of Mike and pass on. So if you work for someone like Clover, you can get that information to them and they can pass that on to us. There's also a non-emergency line for both county dispatch. And you can get that number. You can also call that number and tell them who you are and what you're seeing, and they can get a hold of us. I don't want to confuse things too much here, but this always usually generates a lot of questions. Easiest thing to say is emergency, call 911, not emergency, talk to someone that can get a hold of us. Questions? So a couple of frequently asked questions that we always get during these things, or 2 of them, are firearms and marijuana. So firearms, one, no one in this room, when you're volunteering for the Park Service, you can't carry a firearm. But Michigan is an open carry state. So you will see people that are carrying firearms in the park, and that's perfectly fine. But when you're representing the Friends Group and the National Park Service, you cannot carry a firearm. And then second is marijuana. Marijuana is legal in Michigan. It is technically still illegal on federal lands. However, the Department of Justice has said they don't want to see marijuana cases coming to the courts. So our hands are kind of tied with it, but not really. We can still enforce stuff if we choose to, but it's just not going to really go anywhere. But so how we handle it now is if you're out walking a beach and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you see someone smoking marijuana, who cares? It's 2024. But if someone is sitting on the face of the dune climb on the 4th of July weekend, smoking marijuana, speaking up the place, we are going to deal with those. Because there's, tons of people there, people are usually complaining about the same thing in Canada. So that's the marijuana. Any questions about the firearms or marijuana?
Yeah, so what should we do if we encounter people on the basis of doing nothing?
I just get a hold of us, goes back. It wouldn't be, that's not an emergency, so it's not a 911 call. I wouldn't know. You can engage with anybody. Yeah, I wouldn't, as a volunteer, anyone that's like smoking, using drugs, or obviously intoxicated, just stay away. And the last thing I'm gonna say, and you don't have to listen to me anymore, is, you know, as you're volunteering for the Friends Group and the MPS, is, you know, you're representing the MPS. So, you know, make sure you guys are obeying all the rules and regulations if you're out there. Don't be, you know, set that example. Don't be doing stuff that you're not supposed to when you're in, well, anytime, but especially have those guys.
Wesley, what is the rock roll?
You cannot collect rocks.
Not even one?
Not even one, no. It goes back to preservation. So the lakeshore's here to be preserved. So that's why those rocks belong to everybody.
But if people are looking for cool rocks and they don't have a bucket,
Yeah, people do it all the time. You can see who's really collecting them, who's not, yeah. All right, I've set enough. Tracy's up next.
Okay. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy Barrio, and I run the Adopted Trail program here for Friends. I've been an active volunteer for, I think, 7 years now. Another role that I play is that I am the safety representative or the volunteer safety representative for the parks. So I represent all volunteers and all agencies on a committee with the national park. And my role is to make sure that this volunteers stay safe. So some things that I just want to run through, because safety is the most important thing for you as a volunteer. We want to make sure that it's a good experience for you here at the Lakeshore. So some things that Andy talked about, I just want to reiterate, like when you leave your home to volunteer for the day, wherever that is, just be prepared. Make sure you have plenty of water, sunscreen, a hat, proper shoes. I have been guilty of wanting to do a sandy trail in wrong shoes and underestimated how hot the sand can get, even in like April. So just make sure you have proper foot attire and so forth. And it's never a bad idea to let somebody know where you're going to be and when you might come back. That's just part of like going out into the woods, is making sure that you have a plan. The other thing about the woods that we all have to be aware of, because it is increasingly becoming a problem here, is ticks. Ticks are now year round. Doesn't matter if you're hiking in December anymore or in mid-July, ticks are a problem on almost every trail. And there are more than one tick out there, and they're all bad. So obviously the black-legged deer tick is the one that carries most of the diseases, but any tick bite can become infected. So you want to just be careful of that. And ways that you can protect yourself is to make sure that you're wearing proper attire. Using DEET on your skin. You can use DEET. There is a number of things that you can use on your skin itself. I have been pretty lucky these last few years using natural products, knock on wood. But if I'm working somewhere in the deep woods, I actually wear permethrin soaked gaiters on my lower legs over my clothes. And you can get clothing that is permethrin soaked if you are working somewhere and volunteering for a while. Like if you're deciding to do a North Manitou cleanup for a few days, that's notorious in North Manitou for ticks. So we just want you to be aware of that. It is, you know, an occurrence that's increasing. So you just want to check your body when you get home, take a shower, take those clothes off. You can put them in the dryer. But it's just a good practice when you get home from whatever you're doing, is just to stop and check yourself. The quicker you find it, the better it is, and they can be super tiny, or it could be really big and scary. So, so just take care of yourself. And along that line, one of the other things that's really important as a volunteer here is to make sure that you report any tick infections or any tick bites. We want to know. That's an important safety feature. And on our Friends of Sleeping Bear website, there is a link to report any safety concerns or issues. And that includes a tick bite. It doesn't even have to be embedded. If you get bitten by a tick or a spider, we want to know. And that protects you, as Matt was saying earlier, with workman's comp. If you hopefully don't get bitten and contract an illness, you are protected under workman's comp. So it's important that you report. Other things that we're looking for a safety report is if you fell, or maybe you were moving some branches and it hurt. We want to know that. Or if you're riding your bike on the Heritage Trail and you fell, please wear your helmet. That's also part of safety. That's important to make sure as a volunteer that you're following that example and wearing your helmet when you're on your bike. But if you witnessed a visitor fall and hurt themselves, that's also something that we want to know, because chances are that visitor isn't going to report. So if you're out there and you see a visitor take a tumble, hurt themselves, trip somewhere, those are things that we want to know as well. It helps the park understand if there's a problem somewhere that needs to be addressed. And also they want to make sure that they're taking care of our visitors, right? So those are all things it's really important to report. Yes.
Did you get their name or anything? You just report that we saw it happen where and when.
That would be great. It would be great. Yeah. So the question was, if you do see a visitor get hurt, yeah, absolutely. Please get their name, maybe a contact, a phone number.
And you don't, we should still report it.
Please report it anyway, even if it was like far away and you saw that. And you think it's a problem, like it wasn't just somebody stumbling, but maybe like they tripped over an uneven surface or something. That's important for the park to know. Yeah, any other questions? Yes. Yeah, great question. So on the Friends of Sleeping Bear website, you as a volunteer, when you go out and you do your beach or your trail, you're going to report those hours. And that's how the park and the Friends keep track of volunteer hours. On that same page where you're going to see all the adopted programs or whatever you're volunteering for, there's a big red, like big banner there that says safety issues, concerns, click here. And then I just put you through to a form, and that form comes to me and it comes to Matt. And so we know right away what's going on. And you can also, and I would encourage, if you did get hurt volunteering, so please do that safety report, but also it's important to let your coordinator, your supervisor know, so they know what's going on too. Any other questions? Awesome. All right, so that concludes. And so if you are a coordinator that's going to do a breakout session, would you raise your hand? Awesome. Okay. So Mary in the back is doing Adopt a Beach. Perfect. Lori and Tom in the back for perfect. Perfect. She's Plovers and Aquatics.
Casey's over.
And Casey. Perfect.
And I have a few.
You have a few more things? Oh, and Carrie also has some more things.
So, yeah. Don't go very far because I'm going to. So I want, I know a lot of you guys are new volunteers and wondering, what should I do? Which one should I select? Maybe you want to do 2 or 3 things. I want to let you know of some openings where we really need some additional help, okay? And so Tessa is here and with the Natural Resources Group, and they could use some extra help on all the things that you just mentioned, right? You got plovers and you got avian botulism and so forth. So if that's your thing, natural resource protection, you want to go and see Tessa. She's gonna be back in this area, and then maybe depending on how many people show up there outside, you might go. Yeah, Captain. Yes, Bark Rangers. Okay, so Tess will do those. I wanted to mention Glen Haven and some of the areas up there in Glen Haven that we need additional volunteers. So we have docents that work in the Maritime Museum, in the cannery, and then we have also volunteers that are working down here at the visitor center at the big map, helping answer questions for people. It takes a big load off of the desk personnel. Also, we do bus tours along the scenic drive, and we can use some volunteers that would go along on a bus and tell the story. But the most important one is we need more blacksmiths. I am a blacksmith and I would love to train you. So if you are interested in blacksmithing, learning how to do that and learning about the history of Glen Haven, talk to Casey. So Casey also is going back in this corner. Casey's going to be in this corner. So anybody who has to use the bathroom has to go past Casey. So, okay. Also, I wanted to reiterate something that Tracy said about your volunteer hours. So you can, and we want you to actually, when you go home, go to the Friends website and register your hours for this training session. Okay? So you should have at least 2 hours, maybe 3, depending on how far you've driven and everything, because you count the time from the time you leave home until the time you get back. All right? And then go in, and on the Friends website, it says volunteers. And then the drop-down menu, it says volunteer reporting or something like that. And then select the one that you're doing. Now you can put it, like if you're volunteering for Adopt a Beach, you would go into Adopt a Beach and just put your name and your hours in. Okay. Yes.
Gary, be sure to check when you get home that it has gone through, because there are so many areas around here that don't have Wi-Fi or don't have service. You may have tried it.
Yeah, and it may not have gone. Okay, that's great. Also, I wanted to mention the PSAR. We've already talked a little bit about PSAR, but preventative search and rescue is really an important function that we do with the law enforcement group. And it's a more of an educational volunteer opportunity where you are interacting with people at the dune climb. They're going to go for a hike over to Lake Michigan. Just making sure that they know what they're getting into and that they have the proper equipment and water and that sort of thing. Same thing at the number 9 overlook on the scenic drive, talking to people before they get in trouble coming down. So at least they have the knowledge to make a good decision. So the PSAR group is going to be meeting right up here, and they're going to do their normal annual training up here today. Okay, yeah, oh, thanks. I have it written down right here. So you'll be happy to know that our Adopt a Beach program has been going on for about 15 years. And we were awarded by the Alliance for the Great Lakes, their Wave Makers Award. And so it's pretty cool that all of you contributed to us getting this award. And then Mary Peterson is the coordinator for Adopt a Beach. She's also the coordinator for the Sleep Bear Heritage Trail Ambassadors. They're the ones that get the ice cream coupons. I'm saying you might want to sign up for that one. Mary is going to be out on the lawn out here outside. And so, oh, Mary's going to be in that corner. All right. And so Tracy for Adopt a Trail will be in the lawn. And Casey, where are you going to be?
Still in that corner.
In this corner. You need to use the bathroom, talk to Tracy. Yeah. Glen Haven and the visitor center and bus tours. Yeah, John. Thank you. Thank you. So we are integers. We're integer people. So if you work for 65 minutes doing, you leave home, you come and do a thing, and you get home and it's been 65 minutes, that's 2 hours. Anything over that integer goes to the next integer. Not a rounding, it's not rounding, it's not a rounding up. It's a real round up. All right, so, but we're doing just integer reporting now, because otherwise what happens is when Greg or I go and download those volunteer hours, we'll do it for you. You're gonna get that extra time anyway. But it's easier for us if we don't have to go and change your hours. Ross?
Yeah, we haven't mentioned the trail crew, which is the Sleeping Bear Heritage Trail Maintenance Crew. Mary does the ambassadors, and most of the vets are ambassador vets. But we also have a crew of individuals that go out. We have 2 gators, one for the north and one for the south trail. And we pull equipment along to blow the trail. We also mow the edges of the trail. We do a variety of things to keep that trail safe. And so I will be outside near Mary.
Okay.
So if you want to do both, I do both. Because I'm out riding my bike and I wear the vest and I'm checking out the trail as a crew member, but I'm also there to answer questions and assist. So it's very easy to go if you like the Sleeping Bear Heritage Trail.
Great, okay, so Sleeping Bear Heritage Trail crew, if you wanna hang out and drive the gator down the trail, it's great fun, especially in the wintertime when we're grooming for cross-country skiing, it's great fun. So Ross is gonna be with Mary back here in the I keep wanting.
Yeah,
Oh, Ross, okay, Ross, I'm confused. Ross is gonna be with Tracy outside. If you wanna help out with the track chair or with the new wheelchair bike, see Lori and Tom right in the back. Okay, questions? You guys have been great. Thank you so much for coming out today. One last thing, you see these very stylish vests with the volunteer patch? Those are available back here at the door as you leave. Grab those. If you're doing Adopt a Beach, we have some litter getters for you to pick up litter. Okay? Very good.
Yeah.